Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to try to cover a case here that's a very different Class 2 case. It's treated with this Mitchell appliance, which is a very good appliance to do stuff like this with. So let's get started with it. Let me see, this is after we had started some, and we've got braces on her teeth. She's got a good facial structure there. She's got some skin problems, but the facial structures, probably this is a good height of the face right here, and this, and so we're probably even all the way down, so I think that's a good enough facial structure. And so let's look at the teeth. Now, it's an odd situation. We've got the teeth that are lined up here in the front of the mouth, and this looks like they're almost in, the midline is almost on right at that point. But let's take another look here at the side of the mouth, and this side of the mouth has a cuspid that's literally crowded out right up here, and the lateral, and here's the first bicuspid right there, and this cuspid is just up here by itself, and this tooth right here is falling right into that gap. Now, what we wanted to do here, she had a wisdom tooth that was just beyond repair over here, and so we thought we would take these teeth and shove them back, and make space in the arch, and just take this whole arch and shove it back, and then drop this tooth into this space right there. And this appliance worked great for doing that. We just took this group of teeth and moved them back, and this wisdom tooth was bad where we needed to get rid of it, and that was unusual. Usually you have the one you want is in the wrong spot. So say, watch this go as we start. This is 1986, and we look at the other side of the mouth, and the tooth that was extracted in here was a molar, but it must have been extracted real early because, well, not all that much. It's got a leaning area in here, something like that. So we're going to have to straighten this up and pull the wisdom tooth in here. This is actual wisdom tooth here. Now here we're missing a bicuspid, or one that's very bad, and so we're going to have it taken out, move this tooth over into this gap, and drop this back into this space right here. And we'll bring these teeth forward and fit them in here, and we'll have just a little bit of this tooth here for this one to rest on right there. Now, however you diagnose cases like that, I just have been doing this so long, so I just can know what I want to do, and you can know what you want more than you can actually do in there. So take a cephalometric and Panorex and all this on them, and you'll of course do models, but I pay very little attention to the cephalometric deal. In a case like this, I can just look at what I want to do, and I don't really let the cephalometrics tell me I can do this or that or the other. You can do almost anything you want to work hard to get done in the case. So a lot of you people who lean strong on cephalometrics might not like what I said, but that is how I do it, and I'm not trying to pull your leg or anything. Okay, let's look at the model from the inside. These are the teeth we wanted to back up, and we're going to bring this tooth down into this space right here. That's a cuspid. And we'll do the same thing. Now, these teeth are pretty well in line. We're going to pretty much leave them alone. And this cuspid, this second bicuspid right here is bad. And so we're going to take this tooth out and move this into the gap, bring this tooth down and put it in here. Now, in doing this, we're going to move this forward some. So we're just looking where the molars are lined up, you see. Now, on the bottom arch, you've had the 2 6-year molars have been removed real early. One of them real early because the second molar was right straight up against it. But now watch this take place. We're going to move this tooth in here, move this one down here, and maybe keep this pretty much where it was. But we're going to take this back. Now watch where we goes across here. Watch how this takes place. And you can do this. It's not fast, but this is a little more complicated orthodontics than your regular guy coming out of orthodontic school. I don't guess ever has treated a case like this, but anyway, you're going to run into them. And now on the lower, we're missing the 6-year molar here, so these teeth are tilted quite a bit. But this one was taken out, and she must have been very young. If you get them real young, you take out a 6-year molar, this can drift together and have very little tipping in it. So I think that was what happened in the case. So the rest of it is lined up good. This is 86, and here now we started doing this, and we're using this Mitchell appliance that we made. It really puts the force on the teeth, and if the person doesn't wear their elastics, these teeth will just move forward like mad because you've got all this spring force back here, and this will be, say, this is maybe 8 ounces here, and down here on the rubber band, we'll have 10 ounces. It's hard to get that to right there. And so you have a couple or 2 more ounces of force on the elastic than you have on the spring right in here. And it just works marvelously well. And you run the elastic back here with 2 more ounces of force than you put on this spring. Now, if you leave this elastic out, you've got the total spring pressure being exerted against these teeth right here, and that makes those teeth feel, they don't feel good, they hurt. And so people put the elastics back and it doesn't hurt, but it works on those teeth. Now let's go here. We put little soldered deals on there. Now here's the main thing in here. We've got this, and it runs back, and we put the spring on there, put that little lock, and so we're going to put about 8 ounces of force on that spring, and this rubber band's going to have 10 ounces of force. And that 2 extra ounces making this go back is amazing. Now, I'm going to go to the next side, the same thing. And you see we come across these teeth, come up, and nothing touches it, goes through there. And usually we'll have a little, we have a flexible archway if you want to start doing something. But this has to fit down into the groove good to keep these teeth from, it torques them more or less correct right in there. Then you finish, you have to torque it correctly, get it just like you on it. But you turn this loose like this, and I'll tell you, in a few weeks, some of these cases will be almost finished in a couple of months. They'll push that back. I'll show you another case that did do that. So here on the bottom, we're dragging these teeth forward. We've got a little spring in here that's putting force on the root, bringing the root forward, but not closing the crown. Over here, this was so close, we brought it right on up. Now there's a 6-year molar gone from that spot right there. Okay, now, after this had worked for a while, you remember we took this tooth out and we moved this down into place here. And this side we had to use less force on it. Now look where this is a 6-year molar here, and we kept it pretty much in its place. And if you remember correctly, a while ago, this tooth right here was up here. So we moved this whole mess as a unit. Don't try to pull one back and then the next one and the next one back. That's absolutely wrong. It takes less force if you just take the whole unit and go back with it. And that's what we did. This was pulling back with that force that we had on it. And if she had to wear this, or it would make these teeth move in this direction. And these were pretty much where we wanted. And look at the difference now coming across here. Almost identical space on the teeth. Now, if you want to study this case, if you want to look at it, how it did, but that's what happened in there. And this is pulling with a certain amount of force, and we've got that spring in here. And this spring has less force. It has 2 ounces less than the rubber band. Now you put the rubber band in, you measure it with a Daughter's gauge, and you may start off with a little heavier because it'll weaken in there, but this spring will stay the same. Now if you take this rubber band out, this spring force right here pushes this whole thing, and it's going against these 4 teeth, and it pushes against the molars, and it'll move those teeth out, or it makes them very uncomfortable just to take this elastic off to eat dinner. It makes that uncomfortable. So it is a very steady, long, lasting force in there, and it will amaze you what it can do. I'll show you some other cases where they weren't too long and they had them in class. It was a 1/4 inch class 2, and it was class 3 when they came back in. They didn't come back in when I told them to. All right, here this goes, and it's coming back, and it stays like that. And this comes out, and here we didn't even have anything on these teeth. You can just let them ride. It doesn't separate the teeth at all in here. In other words, it's 8 ounces of force, but you got 10 ounces of pushing on this, and just the whole thing tends to go back where you're putting it. Now we have the front teeth where they were to start with. I take that back. The whole thing doesn't go back. Now, on the bottom, we look at the where it was, and we've straightened that up. Now we brought the roots forward on this. You can see the tooth is straightened out up on top. And here it is in 1987, and we're just about finished with it. We put just a regular arch wire in there and got some slight class 2 elastics if we need it. We'd put a little bit more on there, or we could wear midlines or anything else in addition to that. but that's the way it came out. All right. This looks pretty close to where you want it to go. Actually, we could pull this back a little bit more and let this come down in these spots right there. Okay, wait just a minute. All right, same thing over there. Now this is 19. We've opened up a gap there, and we've opened up this. We're going backwards here, I think. And there they are. Let's take this case and study it good. And it is amazing what that force, just 2 ounces of force moving those teeth. And it moved that right like that. Now here it is in the x-rays. This tooth had to come out. And so we moved the first bar in there, cut the cuspid where that was. And we're going to try to bring these roots up here. This was out. There's one out here, but it was out when this child was real young. Now, all right, we had a spring on that, putting force on it, and it brings these roots forward as it brings. See, this gap hadn't closed all the way, and those roots have moved a great deal of distance. I hope everybody learns how to do that. You know, I hate to just ride on it all the time, but you need to know how to move the roots when you move the crowns in there. I'm going to draw just a little bit on that. I'm going to take this off. Now, if you've got a leaning molar, like such, and you've got another bicuspid or something here, and you don't want this to move back, you can put your little tad in the cortical bone here and bond it to this tooth, and it won't move back. Now, if you want this tooth to move forward, you want the roots to come down here. You come in here you'll come in with a little deal, and you drop the arch wire and you roll it like this, and you come out, and now that goes down. Now, when you put the wire in here, you don't put it there first. You put it in this part, and the wire will be right in here, and the spring will be down like this, and it'll be going way down. Then you bring it up and hook it in here, and just go along in the rest of your deals, whatever you've done on the other side. Now this down force right here will bring these roots forward, and even if there's another molar behind this, you can put it up into that, and it'll bring these 2 teeth up and set them up, and this space right here won't close much because most of your force will be down here while you're moving these teeth forward. You can run something through this eye of this opening and go back here on a tube and tie that back to here and pull on that real tight. And this won't close up, but these roots will move into there. And when you get through this tooth will be setting right in there, and this will be setting here. Now you don't grind anything off, but this is the way to do that. You come in and you drop this down, bend that, and it's like that, but you activate it this way. Now, if you don't know how to do that, I'm sure that many people do, but you ought to learn how to do that. That's the best way I know to get those gaps closed up and have the roots parallel. So this is 1988, and this is 1998. We did the lady, and she brought her son in for me to do him. And before I would to look at the son. It was 10 years after I had seen her. I took some pictures of it, and his tooth had a big filling in it and everything. But look how they stayed for the 10 years. And you can look here, this is 90, this is 89, and we took the braces off down there on 89. And there's the retainer we made for with a bite plate on it. And we came back, I think this is in 98. I see she wears this retainer maybe more than she has to. You see the imprint in the gum tissue right there. I don't have a problem with people wearing them too much, but that kept those plate teeth in line. Now the lower, this is 88, and here's the facial structure in here. All right, there's, I think that's 98, and there it is, the model in 1986, and there it is in 98. So that's from 86 to 98. That's the way the teeth came back. And here's what was there in 86, and there it is in 98, and the same thing over here. And that's 98. And this is what happened in 96, 86. And here it is in 98. And you see that molar line straight across. Well, it's not exactly there, but it is lined up. This tooth rotated a little bit right there, not bad. And that's from 86 to 98. And there's the lower. And here is the lower. We had a little problem with this in 98. So that's the thing relapsed a little there. We probably should have had a 3 to 3 put on that. But that's the only thing that changed in that 10-year period. And let me see, go back to at least leave with a smiling face on her. And there's her picture when she came back in. She was very proud of her teeth, and she brought her son, and they lived in another town. So anyway, hope you learned something from this, and join our group and subscribe to this, and we'll try to keep putting this stuff out here. Thank you for watching, and I'll close up now.